I'm going to go ahead
And welcome into the Backstage Pass for a Monday. Brand new week of shows after taking Friday off. Of course, we're always presented by our good friends over at Toir Guitars. So check them out, toirguitars.us for your custom-made guitar. And also Bangtail Whiskey, bangtail.com, or you can download that Easy Liquor app. And, of course, you know that comes directly to your door. Brandon Morrell, Jeff McMahon here. Pleased to welcome in our guest here for a Monday show number 1 of 2. Hunter Thomas Mounce joins us here on the show. What's going on, Hunter?
Oh, not a whole lot. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Some exciting news that Jeff and I are going to be able to talk about later this week involving a great 90s rock band coming here to the Backstage Pass. But I tell you what, man, just to kind of learn a little bit about you at the top and about chasing this dream as a musician, kind of tell me a little bit about growing up and the type of artists that you listen to, you know, kind of in conjunction with becoming, you know, involved in country music.
Man, so growing up, I listened primarily to country music with my dad. I can remember at a very early age riding around in his truck and listening to not only the radio but a lot of like cassette tapes, things like that. Let's see, a lot of like Brooks and Dunn, Tracy Byrd, Tracy Lawrence, Mark Chestnut, guys like that. And then, you know, fast forward to now, I really, really enjoy listening to a lot of the things in the Texas country music scene. I continue to be inspired by that, as well as some of the Appalachian country stuff that's coming out, like the Tyler Childers and the Zach Bryans and stuff like that. I find that very, very interesting too.
I love that too. And I know you had talked about this, and we talked a little about this on the phone probably a few weeks back. You were setting out to become a career firefighter. Is that correct? And are you still doing that line of work?
Yes, sir. I am. I'm working at the Hendersonville Fire Department, which Hendersonville, for those of you that don't know, it is one town north of Nashville, about 25 minutes northeast. And I have been there. It'll be 5 years in July that I've been there. And then I was also a firefighter in Missouri, just south of the Kansas City area. I was a firefighter there for a year and a half also.
Love that.
And was that a specific target for you in order to give you proximity to Nashville so you could juggle music at the same time?
Well, whenever I decided to go to the fire academy right out of high school, I didn't actually play music yet. So, you know, by the time I became a firefighter in the Kansas City area, it was honestly an idea that I had later on where I was like, okay, once I started playing music, it was an idea that I had later on, whenever, you know, the thought occurred to me that, you know, I could be in proximity to Nashville, you know, being able to juggle music. But I didn't originally set out to do firefighting because of that and end up in Nashville. That was just something, that was a piece of those are pieces of the puzzle that kind of came together, you know, a few years down the road. But it's all ended up working out pretty conveniently for me, I must say.
Well, and I know that I've been listening to a lot of your songs, and I'm glad to hear you say Tracy Lawrence and Chestnut, because I hear that, you know, some of those influences in your music, but I'm puzzled by how you grabbed such a solid hold on the feel of all that music when you were not yet a musician. You were not pursuing that. I mean, you really seem to have kind of gotten a really solid hold on it when you were just kind of listening. You weren't even trying to create stuff yet. Is that accurate?
Yeah. It's funny. I can remember being very, very young and, you know, listening with my dad, and I always wanted to know who the person was singing the song. So, you know, even as a very, very young kid, it wasn't enough for me to just go, hey, that's a cool song. I wanted to know, you know, who sings it. I wanted to know what other songs that they had on the radio. And I mean, I'm talking 4 or 5 years old. I wanted, for some reason, that was important to me to kind of know I wanted to know not only the song, but I wanted to know the artist. And yeah, it's funny. You know, I had no idea that I was going to end up in this career path, but it's almost like these things were downloading in my brain from a really early age. and just kind of all come together to kind of mold, what it is that I want to become musically.
Yeah. Since making the transition, Hunter, what's kind of been the best part of doing this thing called music, and what's been the most challenging part?
Transition. So I'd say the best part about it and the challenge are kind of the same thing. So I'd say the best part about it is the fact that, okay, I'm an independent artist. I get to make 100% of the decisions on what kind of music that I want to write and record. I get to tell my producer what kind of sound I want to have, what session players I prefer on what songs. I really get to be myself. And then on the flip side of that, it's also, that can also be a huge challenge because, it's no secret that whenever you live in a place like Nashville for a long time, a lot of your friends start to have major success with major labels and things like that. And, if you don't keep your ego and your emotions in check, it can be challenging at times to remember that you're on a different path than your friends who are doing those different things. And, I just always try to remember how grateful I am to be living in this city, and that I am on a different path than everybody else. So that's my challenge is just staying good up here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and music is on a different path. I mean, in a lot of ways, you've got you talk about everybody having record label success. Well, there's a lot fewer record labels. I mean, when I moved to town when Brooks and Dunn was coming out with their first record. I actually moved in 91 when all the stuff that you love was blowing up. Garth was blowing up, Clint, Chestnut, Alan Jackson, all that stuff, Travis Tritt, all that was happening at the same time. And as the music has changed and the music industry has changed so much with Spotify and all that, a lot of the stuff that you're playing is not only 90s country in Nashville, but it's a lot more of what is happening in some of those Texas markets that you're talking about. One of the guitar player that I played with in my first band was Daryl Dodd, who is a significant Texas artist. And like you were saying, kind of trying to keep your head in Nashville. He came to Nashville, did the Nashville thing, was working for him in some ways, but in other ways it wasn't. And he realized kind of, I'm not doing musically what I really want to do long term. And that's when he went back to Texas and kind of changed his game plan a little bit. So the music's changed a lot through that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you said, it's funny you were talking about, trying to keep your mind on kind of what Nashville's doing. And honestly, a lot of times I'm trying to keep my mind on what it is that I want to do because, like I said, we have a Nashville music scene, but within that scene, there are so many different people doing so many different kinds of things. And, sometimes you can kind of lose yourself. By saying lose yourself might be a little bit too deep, but sometimes you can kind of lose track of what you're doing if you get too caught up in somebody else's formula or what somebody else is trying to do. And at the end of the day, you just really have to be authentic to yourself and make the kind of music that you want to make, because in my opinion, that's going to be the only way, aside of with the exception of financial success, that's going to be the way that I'm going to be able to do this long term is by doing it the way that I want to do it, because I know that I'm going to enjoy it that way. So that's what I try to focus on.
Right. Yeah, it's good albums like this. Folks Like Me and You, and that's just the title of that just sounds like that 90s country sound Jeff was talking about. Can't Get Enough, and A Way or Two that definitely stand out to me, Hunter, on that album. That's why I love it so much. So I'll tell you, it's time to hear some music here from you, brother. Let's play something here on the show and get the audience engaged here.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go ahead and play Away for you since you mentioned that one.
Okay.
This is a song that I wrote with my friend Keith Ladd when I still did live in Kansas City. We had a Southern rock band. We were called Barbed Wire Revolt, toured around a lot around the city whenever I lived there. And this is a song about getting to a better place. We really didn't like where we were at the time. I was working at Harris Casino. He was changing oil at Jiffy Lube. So this is just about getting to a better place. It's called Away.
Yep.
Well, I hate my job, but I work hard anyway. Don't want to get up, but there's bills I gotta pay. I climb in my truck. I wish you'd just take me away. I wish you'd just take me away from here. Well, I know some boys think of start me up a band. We're gonna make some noise with these guitars in our hands. Just gotta have faith. Somehow the greater plan is gonna take us away from here. I don't know where it is I'm going, but I'm going anyway. Don't know how I'm gonna get there. Oh no, all I know is I can't stay. I don't wanna look back. Let the years go passing by, living with regret for the things I didn't try. All we really have is just one shot at life. Yeah, all we really got is this right here. I don't know where it is I'm going, but I'm going anyway. Don't know how I'm gonna get there. Oh no, all I know is I can't stay. I don't know where it is I'm going or what I'm gonna do, but in the midst of all my searching, I hope it brings me back to you. That one's called Away.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Good stuff right there from Hunter Thomas Mounce here on the Backstage Pass. The song is Away off the album Folks Like Me and You, which came out in 2019. Brandon Morrell, Jeff McMahon here, of course, coming up today. Another great songwriter in himself. Kent Blasey's going to join us here on the Backstage Pass around 4:30 coming up today. Love the song, man. And that's what I say. I love the album. That's what attracted me to you, no doubt. And it's just a great song, great story. And it tells a lot of things that a true country music fan would enjoy. Where did the idea kind of come about, and kind of who did you work with this project on?
Are you talking about Away, you said?
Away, yes, correct.
Yeah, so that was a song that my friend Keith, he had the idea for, and we were writing original songs that we could play out in our local band, and I just remember every time we would play that live, everybody really seemed to enjoy it, and Folks Like Me and You was a 2-year process recording that, mainly because of the fact that recording is so expensive in Nashville. But the session that I booked on the part of the album we were working on, I was looking for songs, and I asked Keith if I had his blessing to cut that song, and he said yeah, man, definitely go for it. So things just kind of worked out on that one.
I love it. The other one that kind of caught my attention, there was two of them actually. The album's great out there. It's across all the digital platforms. Can't Get Enough, which kind of led off the album there, set the tone for it, no doubt. What was the story behind that one?
Story behind that song is I had just learned how to play 4 chords on the guitar, and I was in college in Springfield, Missouri. I was in my 1-bedroom apartment, and I posted a couple covers to social media, and people had commented that they liked it, and I got to thinking to myself, I was like, man, if anybody's ever going to take me seriously, I've got to start writing my own material. So one night I wrote the song Can't Get Enough, just me, myself, and I. And, to this day, that is still one of the most requested songs at our live shows. And, it was just about falling in love in a college town, and just all the simple things about my life at the time. So that's about it, man.
Love it. Good stuff right there too. And I'll tell you another one that caught my attention off of it. Again, folks, like Me and You is the album, is Sweat and Beer, number 2. Just a good story with that one too. I just love that song. The way it caught my attention. What was the backstory on that one?
Man, I can remember all the friends that I had growing up. Whenever we got old enough to drink, I could just remember that, occasionally whenever we were hungover, the next day, a couple guys would always say, "Man, I feel like I'm sweating beer today. I'm just not in a good place." And I was like, "Man, we say this quite a bit. So let's just make a song out of this." So I remember one night before band practice, I wrote the song on a piece of notebook paper at the kitchen table while the guys were downstairs getting stuff set up. Super, super quick song. I think it took 30 minutes to write. Definitely didn't overthink it or anything like that. It was just meant to be fun. And, later a couple years go by and I record the song, and then the fully produced version comes out and, kind of took on a life of its own. That's definitely a fun one to play live.
Be a good one to see, no doubt. Yep.
Let me ask you this, Thomas. For you to start doing this music thing, I mean, you're certainly not old, but most people grew up with that kind of being the dream, and for you to come in starting when you're grown to play guitar and learning all that kind of stuff, it seems like you're very deliberate about what you're doing. Most grown-ups can't fathom learning a new instrument because they start with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and they think they're supposed to be able to start with their favorite Garth song, and they're not impressed. Certainly as a firefighter, you would have to be very deliberate, make decisions. You can't screw around. You do it or you don't. You can't waffle around. How much of that kind of overlaps into the specificity that you're going after this music stuff with, and where do you think that drive originates for you?
I remember trying to learn to play the guitar 3 or 4 different times before it finally stuck. And the thing that finally made me actually learn the instrument was my girlfriend.
Girls.
Yep, my girlfriend at the time, the gal that I dated in high school, she had just dumped me, and I told myself, I said, "That's it. I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. I'm going to be the guy playing guitar at all the parties, and she's going to be at those parties, and she's going to think that that's super, super cool, and that she missed out on dating a guy who plays guitar." And it started out as a super shallow dream. It really was. I mean, I know it sounds shallow, but when I was that age, that was my main driving force. But then as I started playing, and as people started really rallying around me and encouraging me to do music, it just took on. just turned into something so real and something that I truly love. You know, it went from something that was never even a thought in my brain to something that is like, you know, a top priority in my life. So, and I'll just never forget how playing music made me feel whenever I first learned. And that's just something that I've been trying to hold on to this whole time. And it does take a lot of hard, deliberate, really purposeful work to keep getting better, especially whenever you're chasing musicians in this town who have been doing it since they were super young. But it's just something that I continue to chase because, you know, I really do love it and I really do enjoy it.
Well, there are musicians in this town that have been doing it for a long time, but there are also musicians, and this was kind of what I was trying to ask about. There are musicians in this town that have been here much longer than you, but they are not as clear on what they are trying to do, and they haven't released 5 singles, and they're still talking about starting to do things.
Yeah.
Where, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, I forget the timeline, but it seems like it was 3 or 4 years ago that you moved here to Nashville, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, so that, you know, it kind of seems like once you said, okay, I'm going to climb to the top of this tower with the hose, or I'm going to cut these records or whatever, you just really seem pointed.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never thought about it like that, but that is a good point. I mean, it's always been my kind of personality that, like, you know, once I'm in motion, it's hard. Once I'm in motion, it takes a lot to stop me and slow me down. But sometimes just getting going can be tough. And, you know, music has been no different. You know, like I said, I tried to learn the instrument 3 or 4 different times. So it was very, very hard for me to get going. And then I went through a phase where I was very, very scared to record music and put it out in front of the world. Well, I got over that fear, and now I've recorded like 18 songs, you know, and I just keep putting them out. And so, yeah, I guess I do kind of get that. I do kind of get my eye on something and then just go at it full steam ahead. But it does take me a while to get going, and I'm definitely growing as not only as an artist, I'm definitely growing as a person, and figuring out a lot of things along this journey, because it has been the most challenging thing that I've ever had to do in my life. But I am committed to it, and I'm gonna keep pushing, keep working, and I'm gonna figure this thing out.
I love the drive, the determination, and the focus. And this single, I love it too, especially the artwork with the sign going to the right with the arrow, and the cover of this new single, One Good Reason, from Hunter Thomas out there. We got to talk about this one, but first, can we hear it?
Yes, sir. This is a song I wrote with Nick DeLeo. He is one of my greatest friends in Nashville, and definitely one of the most talented just guitar players, songwriters, just the full package. So this is the first song we ever wrote together, and we've written many since then. But this song is called One Good Reason, and it's about living in a town like Nashville where there are so many excuses and there's so many distractions on, you know, just staying wild. But then you stumble upon that one girl, and all that other stuff doesn't matter anymore. So this is One Good Reason. There's a woman down the street, just can't seem to get her eyes off me. And back in my heyday, yeah, I'd have gone and made a big mistake. And that watering hole I used to know had a bar stool I'd never let get cold, talking going off the deep end damn near every weekend. Yeah, I've worked out every angle, and it's an easy choice between a man who can't be wrangled and the sweet sound of your voice. There's about 1,000 of them reasons to get crazy in this town, but but you're the only one I've found worth settling down. Boys, don't worry, I'm fine. I'm a dog wagging his tail. She's my stairway to heaven, not my highway to hell. Yeah, there comes a time in every man's life when you gotta just turn the page. Yeah, I got me a winner, else she even cooks me dinner, and the next chapter's looking great. And I've worked out every angle, and it's an easy choice between a man who can't be wrangled and the sweet sound of your voice. There's about 1,000 of them reasons to get crazy in this town, but you're the only one I've found worth settling down. Yeah, I like where this is headed. It's been so good so far. Yeah, I could go back to what I had, but I'm following my heart. Yeah, I worked out every angle, and it's an easy choice between a man who can't be wrangled and the sweet sound of your voice. There's about 1,000 of them reasons to get crazy in this town, but you're the only one I've found worth settling down. You're the only one I've found worth settling down. You're the only one I found. All right, that's one good reason.
If you're looking for one of the most beautiful and playable custom acoustics on the planet, look no further than Ed Rice at Toir Guitars. Ed is a true artist, transforming exotic woods into magnificent, sweet-sounding instruments. Go to toirguitars.us, that's TOIRGUITARS.us, and contact Ed today.
And those are some beautiful guitars. If you don't have yours, you can check them out at tourguitars.us, and of course, learn to play like Hunter did. Once you get the arrival of that guitar, the singing is sold separately. I always say out there. Brandon Burrell and Jeff McMahon out here, also presented by our good friends at Bangtail Whiskey. I love that song, man. I love what you did. I see the point and just the drive behind it too, like you said about Nashville and telling that story about one good reason. Just a fantastic piece of work, man, and definitely hopefully does real well for you out there. It just came out last week, I believe. Is that correct on the single?
Came out last Wednesday, so 5 days.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So, like I said, today's the 12th, and one good reason's out there across all the digital platforms too. And I wanted to ask you about real quick before we go to our little rapid fire segment. Back to folks like me and you. One that stuck out was that last track on there, and I believe it was called "Feeling the Fire Burn Out." Is that correct? That was the last track on there. I love how that song kind of just resonated with me. Talk about the story behind that one.
So, Feeling the Fire Burn Out is the only song I did not write on the debut record, Folks Like Me and You. I was very, very blessed and very fortunate to have met one of my best friends in Nashville. Probably the first year that I lived here. She's a very, very big time songwriter who's had tons of cuts. Her name's Erin Enderlin. She wrote Last Call for Lee and Womack. You Don't Know Jack for Luke Bryan, and I think Monday Morning Church for Alan Jackson. So, I became friends with her probably my first year that I lived here. And I remember I was at one of her shows in Kansas City, as a matter of fact. And she asked me where I was at with my music. And I said, I'm really looking for one or two more songs for my album. And she's like, well, when I get back, I'll send you some songs. So she sent me a whole catalog of songs, which is super nice of her to do. And Feeling the Fire Burn Out was one of the songs she sent me. And I said, okay, I want to record that one if it's okay. And she's like, all right, yeah, for sure. I wrote that with Luke Bryan and Jamie Teachner. And I was like, well, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to let me take that? And she's like, oh, yeah, for sure. So she was gracious enough to give me that song. And I love the way the production came out. And it's just, I love that song. And then the stars lined up yet again when this fire captain I have, he runs a volunteer fire department in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And whenever they were burning a house for some training, I was able to be on scene of that and let the camera crew come in, and we shot a music video for Feeling the Fire Burn Out where we actually burnt a real house down. And then to top it all off, that was on CMT. So that song will always be special to me for all of those reasons. So,
wow,
good story, unbelievable, good story.
So I have to ask you this. Clearly, you were talking about how much more it takes to be an independent artist because you have to kind of try to do everything yourself. And you said that once you kind of get your eye on something, you go for it.
Yes, sir.
Now, you also said the music industry is one of the toughest things you've done. I don't get to talk sports on this show very much because a lot of what he wants to talk about, I don't know what he's talking about. But I know about ultra marathons, brother.
Oh, okay.
And you run, Brandon, this cat ran, I think it was your first.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
100-mile solo race here the last 5 or 6 months ago, almost 30 hours straight. 29 hours, 25 minutes, and 49 seconds. And the 49 seconds matter.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I ran crew. I've never run one, but I ran crew for a buddy of mine at Leadville.
Oh, okay.
All right. Which is one of the same kind of race up in Colorado.
That was a very good race.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that and why did you do that? What did you learn from it? I just want you to talk about it.
Okay. So I ran my first 100-mile race this past July. It was the Burning River 100 in, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio is where it starts and ends. It's an out and back. So basically you run 50 miles out and 50 miles back. And 3 or 4 years ago when I moved here to Nashville, I was never a runner really. And some guys at the fire department, I noticed that they would run every single day out in front of the fire station. And whenever you move to a new place and you're trying to fit in. So I wanted to do something that would get me in with the crew, get a little respect on my name around the fire department. So there's this guy, his name's Baxter. I still work with him. And he's like, hey, rookie, you want to run 15 with us today? And I was like, sure, man, I'll run 15 miles with you. So I ran 15 miles with him that day. And I'll never forget, I was paralyzed essentially for like the rest of the shift. Thank God we didn't get a call. Good Lord had me on that one. But fast forward a couple years go by, and running is something that I started taking a lot more seriously. And I decided to sign up for this 100-mile race. Now, the furthest I had ever ran prior to the 100-mile race was a 50K, which is a 31-mile race. Right. And so mentally going into that race, there was a lot of unknowns. I was really getting out in the deep end on this one because I had no idea what to expect. I was like, man, I've ran 31 miles, which is cool, but like that's 69 more miles that I've got to run, and I have no idea what's going to happen. So,
and you have to, and I don't know this race, but you have to carry food and stuff with you. I mean, I guess they have stops, but you're still carrying stuff between legs. Is that how that race works?
So I had my roommate. He talked me into. He had a fanny pack, and he's like, "All right, man." He's like, "If you want to take this fanny pack, you're welcome to." And another guy I know who had attempted the race the year before, he gave me a laundry list of things that he thought that I should bring. Ibuprofen, salt pills, blister patch kit, all kinds of stuff like that. He said always have a Gatorade or electrolyte drink, a water on your side. So I had all this stuff in a fanny pack as I was running with it. But every 3 miles or so, there's an aid station with basic food like peanut butter jelly, chips, crackers, pretzels, and then water, Coke, Mountain Dew, stuff like that. So every 3 or 4 miles when you arrive to these aid stations, it's an eating contest. Like basically, eat as much, much Coke, whatever, get as many calories as possible, because they always say that these races are basically like an eating contest, that it's just 100 miles long. So we were very, very fortunate that Baxter's girlfriend joined in on the trek, and she met us at mile 33 with a Wendy's Dave's Triple cheeseburger meal, large Coke. So I ate that at mile 33. And then at mile 50, she bought us Chipotle bowls, and we scarfed that down at mile 50. And that race was absolutely crazy. I'm excited. I'm gonna do it again this year. So I'm actually training for it right now. So
awesome.
Well, now as a result of what you did, though, you qualified for Western States, right?
That's yes, I did. And I don't know why I didn't pursue that and look into it more. But if I finish Burning River this year, I'm definitely going to try to get into Western States. Because whenever I completed the Burning River 100, I honestly thought I was not going to run anymore. I was like, hey, I've accomplished the top of what I want to accomplish. I don't really care about running that much. And then a couple months went by, and I was like, man, I really, really love running. I didn't realize that I liked running as much as I do. And so now Western States is like the ultimate goal. So if I finish Burning River this year, then I'm definitely going to put in for the lottery system to do Western States, which is like one of the hardest 100-mile races in the world. So that I would love to be at a race with some of these really big names, people I look up to, like Jim Walmsley, Zach Miller, and then some people like that. I just think it'd be super cool. I think David Goggins and Cameron Haynes, do those too, and just I think it'd be super cool to do the same event as them.
Sure.
It's amazing what running does. I did a couple of miles this morning, and I tell you, man, it's just fun to get back out there on the concrete, hit the ground running, and it just clears your mind too, which is great about it. No matter the distance, I love the fact that, like I said, you don't take much to get the exercise in, walk or run 30 minutes a day or whatever it is, or treadmill. It's just fun to do that. So I commend you for that too. Got to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions here, man, before I go, just to kind of get to know you more on a personal level. I guess when you get a chance to kind of kick back and watch a little television, what are some of your series or the binge watching things you get into?
So I'm one of these people who's extremely stubborn. I don't like to go along with trends. So my girlfriend and I are just now starting to watch Game of Thrones. Years ago, whenever all that stuff was just coming out, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because everybody else is doing it. And then now I'm in the middle of it, and I'm like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. So I'm kind of binging that right now. Let's see. I like a lot of the superhero miniseries. I liked the Daredevil miniseries, the Punisher miniseries. But overall, I really don't watch that much TV. But whenever I do watch it, I do get hooked on it. So Game of Thrones is definitely my guilty pleasure right now.
Found myself watching some of that this past weekend too. Hey, there's one I want to ask you about too, was last year's single release, Kindergarten Rodeo Clown. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about that. Love that song. Who did you kind of work with on that one? What's the backstory there?
So Kindergarten Rodeo Clown is a song that I wrote for my friend Dakota, who passed away in 2014. And I got the bracelet that I always wear. It's just in memory of him. I'd always wanted to write a song for him. And, I tried to write multiple different songs about him, and nothing would ever really come together. And writing a song for somebody who's passed away is definitely not something that I take lightly. It's not something that you can just sit down 30 minutes and just kind of put together some BS. And it's like, you have to find something that connects to that person on a very, very deep level. And I had the idea of Kindergarten Rodeo Clown for a couple years, and I tried to write it with a couple people, but it just was never going the direction that I wanted it to. And then I started writing with my friend Joe Costa. He's in the married duo Joe and Martina. You guys get a chance to look them up; they're phenomenal. Joe's super talented, but I took the idea to him because I knew that he was a very, very established and seasoned songwriter, and he grew up in Northern California doing a lot of rodeo stuff. So just the combination of those two things, he just seemed like somebody that I could also trust with a really vulnerable subject matter. So, we wrote the song in one session. It felt very natural. It was hard to get through emotionally, but I couldn't be more happy with how the song came out. And then obviously Kenny Royster at Direct Image Studio, he always kills the production, and he went the exact direction that I wanted the song to go. Production wise. So that is my favorite song I've ever written and recorded. So that's kind of the story on it.
I love it too. Great song out there too. And he's a great artist. And if you haven't checked him out there, folks like me and you, man, I tell you, you will not regret getting that. And of course, one good reason is out there across all the digital platforms. Hunter Thomas Mounce. Hunter, we appreciate the time here on the show and looking forward to catching up, man, somewhere down the line as soon as some new music is released out there too. Thanks for being with us.
Well, Brandon, Jeff, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I would be glad to be a part of Backstage Pass just whenever you guys will have me. And you guys feel free to reach out to me anytime. My phone's always on loud. So
no doubt, brother. No doubt. It's good rising country star. Coming up here in a little bit, Kent Blasey's going to join us here. Of course, you remember him from all the great hits he wrote for Garth Brooks. Some cool things coming up here with Kent on the show. And tomorrow, Jeff and I have an exclusive with You Know Her, You Love Her. Bonnie Tyler's coming on the show here tomorrow on the Backstage Pass. Looking forward to that one too. Catching up with a new album called The Best Is Yet to Come. Can't wait to hear about that and then some too as well. Kent Blasey here on the other side. Thanks to Toir Guitars and Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you guys very soon.